As someone that plays both Dead by Daylight and Dungeons and Dragons, you can see the abbreviations to these two are almost identical. So I thought to myself one night, why not just mix them together? This is how we are here today. I put all the original killers from Dead by Daylight on a wheel to see which character I will transform into a Dungeons and Dragons monster. So let's spin that wheel to see which killer will be our first on the drawing board. Let's try that again. Let's spin the wheel to see which killer will be first on the drawing board. Yeah, I could deal with that. Before we get to stats, we need to acknowledge who we are making a stat block for. Since we're mixing both the games here, some abilities won't be the same on how they work in the actual game itself. I'll explain more on this when we get to the abilities. But first things first, who is the artist from Dead by Daylight? The artist, also known as Carmina Mora, was a talented artist that holds a lot of grief on her shoulders. Growing up in Chile, she sketched the landscape while starting up her new career as the next Cesar Millan, but instead with birds. She seemed to be the magnet of all to blame, as her father blamed her for her mother leaving the family and for the death of her brother, which her father was there while this happened, as he was in the backyard with both of them, not paying any attention at all about the son. Honestly, it seems completely wrong to blame Carmina, but I mean, that's how she got dragged into the entity in the first place in the game. I mean, if you have a raging river in your backyard and your kids run out there, don't be like him, cracking a cold one with the boys while your son's drowning in your own backyard. Learn from this guy. Don't be him. Skip a couple months into the future, and Carmina thought it was a great time to join her brother. So she straight up just swan dived right over a bridge, which apparently was called Death Leap. And nobody stopped her, as if this happened every single day. I mean, it does say Death Leap in the freaking name, so I guess that this whole town was just used to people jumping off bridges. But right when she was falling, her new feather friend scooped her up and brought her back to safety. Now, it's either the birds really cared about her health and safety, or she just forgot to feed them that day. After she got saved by nature, she picked back up her habits and did a lot with it. What exactly, you may ask? Well, she got a lot of attraction for her work, she commissioned a couple of groups, and sparked a debate about corruption. You can kind of see where this is going now. Later on, the group that she was butting heads with kidnapped her and her friends and brought her to a desert to cut off both of her hands and tongue. Because her poets and her artwork, I guess, because it was giving them a bad name or something. But what the big bad people didn't know is that she is a bird person. The bad guy got destroyed by crows along with her friends, as the crows were uncontrollable. Seeing this brought her grief back again and blamed it all on herself. Then the gods ripped her from reality, and now she's in Dead by Daylight. That's how she got into the game. Honestly, it's kind of sad reading up on her lore and how everything went down. However, that's enough, because now it's time to go into D&D terms. The artist is considered a medium-sized humanoid with a chaotic neutral background. I'm sure that all the killers will either be in the chaotic or evil sections of the alignment chart. Her armor class is sitting at a 15 with a total of 115 hit points with a base speed of 30 feet. With the artist being connected to crows and having abilities in-game involving range, we focus her main stats on dexterity and wisdom. Charisma suffers heavily since, well, the cult member literally cut off her tongue and now she can only make these kind of noises. You're still stacking with the wisdom being a proficient stat for the artist. Having wisdom saving throws and animal handling being proficient is perfect for her. Now in Dead by Daylight, usually killers get hit with blunt objects and it feels like getting hit with a sponge. The artist would have damage immunities. However, if your party is without any magic melee weapons, it's gonna be a bad time. So we made damage resistances instead for all those melee class lovers that love to do bludgeoning damage, love to do piercing damage, and slashing damage. Her passive perception will be a 14, only understanding common, because, as a challenge rating, I don't really know what to put it as, so I like the number 7 for this. Let's look at what the artist can do for attacks. She wields a palette blade, which is similar to a short sword, dealing 1d8 plus 5 slashing damage. Along with that, she's able to use Birds of Torment. This counts as a conjuring ability, which can add 1 to 3 dire crows within a 10-foot range. These crows have a similar stat block to a giant owl. The crows will go right after the artist and can move or attack according to their actions. The artist can use a bonus action to dispel the crows she created. This does have a cooldown in Dead by Daylight after being used, so this action cannot be used until the crows are either destroyed or dispelled. Now the part that everyone's been waiting for, the perks. So you have all these perks. They're not gonna match entirely with the game on Dead by Daylight because it has to match some of the D&D terms, so stick with me for this one. We're first going to start off with Grim Embrace. In Dead by Daylight, this perk blocks generators after hooking each survivor. In D&D, this is a natural ability for the artist. When the artist hits a creature, the creature becomes marked with an oily symbol where they got hit. When 4 different creatures are marked, those marked creatures within a 90-foot range become restrained as black claws erupt from the ground, holding the creatures in place. Since there are no generators in D&D, or unless the DM allows it, it's really up to them, Grim Embrace has to act a different way in order to put the round on a hold for a few seconds, which is why the entity or black claws are coming up to the ground and holding those creatures. At the end of the restrained creature's turn, the creature can make a strength saving throw with a DC of 12 to get out of the restraint. Other creatures not affected by Grim Embrace can use an action to release the restrained creature from the grip of the claws. Next up, we have a perk that is a Scourged Hook, and it is also known as Pain Resonance. In Dead by Daylight, after hooking a survivor on a Scourge Hook, the most progressed generator regresses and survivors scream if they are working on it. Again, there's no hooks in D&D, I had to improvise. When you hit a creature with a melee attack, you can use a bonus action to inflict Pain Resonance onto the creature. The creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw of a DC 15 or scream out with agonizing pain. The creatures that can hear and understand the screaming creature have disadvantage on saving throws until the end of the artist's next turn. Once this happens, the target that was hit cannot be affected by Pain Resonance for the next 24 hours. Since this perk only has 4 tokens, we're going to transfer that into D&D with charges and will be refreshed either in 24 hours or after a long rest. Finally, we have the Hex perk known as Pentimento. Now with this perk in Dead by Daylight, after survivors break totems, you can bring it back to cause negative effects on all survivors, progressively getting worse with each token. Since that will seem a bit broken for this character, we are going to compare this to a spell known as Bestow Curse. This will count as an ability at the beginning of the encounter. Creatures within 60 feet of the artist must succeed on a wisdom saving throw with a DC of 15. If the creature fails the saving throw, roll 1d4. The creature gains the effects based on the number rolled. If you rolled the 1, choose one ability score. The target has disadvantage on ability checks and saving throws made with that ability score. If you got a 2, the target gains a level of exhaustion. If you got a 3, the target's speed is reduced to half. If you got a 4, the artist's attacks deal an extra 1d8 to the target. Now, since there won't be totems involved, unless their DM says so, we kind of changed this to be a ritual that starts at the beginning of each encounter. Once the artist is reduced to exactly or lower than half of its maximum health points, the affected creatures no longer have the effects given to them with this ability. The artist must start another ritual in order to have this ability again. The reason why we have this ability end at exactly or below the certain amount of hit points is so the effect doesn't last forever, making the encounter difficult for the party. Whoever's going against this creature will have a struggle at the beginning, but just like in Dead by Daylight, once you take care of the problem, it slowly goes away. This is all homebrew, so feel free to arrange any of the abilities, the armor class, health points, and whatever else you need in order to make this a comfortable encounter for your party. Or, just buff the shit out of it and give your players a really hard time. This is the artist from Dead by Daylight in Dungeons & Dragons. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this creation. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this, and next time we do this, we'll spin the wheel again to see what killer we get. However, if you have any ideas for a character that you want me to take a shot at for homebrewing, make sure to leave a comment below on who I should try to homebrew next. That being said, stay safe and have a good one.